Hello friends, welcome once again into this channel. Today we're going to look the pivot table, and this is will be the continuous from the previous videos. Today we're going to look the interested features, which is called the multiple level pivot table. How we can make this multiple level pivot table. We have saw how to make this pivot table. For today we're going to look this multiple level pivot table. If you're new here, please click subscribe button and turn notification bell into all so as to become notified for any coming video. Okay, I have show you in the previous video how to summarize this data simply by making the pivot table. So today we're going to show another way of making pivot table, which is will be more interesting than the before. So simply, if you want to make the multiple level, it means that you add more than one item in particular, like rows, columns, or say, let's say here we have these three things we're going to look. That's multiple rows field. It means that in the row field we add more than one item, and the multiple value field, in the value field we add more than one item, and the last will be video in this one, sorry, the multiple report filter field. We can do that. So please, let's take look this and let's start pivot table. After you have this data like this, make pivot table. Just click the pivot table, and then it will automatically selected all the data in the Microsoft Excel as shown here, as I explained before. After that, click OK. After clicking OK, we'll open another sheet here. So we're going to start with this one, as we say, multiple row field. In that meaning that here in the rows we add more than item. Let's say here in the rows we add the categories. Simply hold it and drop here categories. After adding categories, here we'll display the categories. In the categories, then we add the countries. Let's say we add the country. You see that now the categories are divided between the categories, and within it there is a country. It means that this is multi-level. See the interested feature for the fruit, which is the first categories. For the following countries are mentioned here, and for the vegetable, which is the second the categories with the corresponding country. So here into the value, let's say add the amount, it will be displayed. See how the amount will be displayed. So this is one of the features in Microsoft Excel you can do in the pivot table. Instead of display one item, but you can display as a multiple of them by looking like this. This is one which is called the multiple row field. Also, let's check this the second one, because I don't want to make this video very long. So that's why I make very short, so as you understand some features you can do in the Microsoft Excel. Don't become surprised when you see someone ask you the question like this. Also, we can make the multiple value field. It means that in our Microsoft Excel, here in the value field, we can make them more than one categories here, and you can display different data. Let's say example, we come here in our Microsoft Excel sheet, like here the first one, and then we make them let's say we make the pivot table like we make before. After that, it will display like this. After that, let's say here in our field here in the values, mean that this say that make the multiple value field. The value field should be added more than one things. Let's say we add the first amount. Let's say we add another amount here also. Let's say here in the rows, let's add the country. Let's say add the country here. After that, you see how they look like. It means that more than one, all of them too. You see the sum of amount. Also, there is a sum of amount, and the data is, you see, they are corresponding the same. But here in the sum amount of amount, the second one, we can change this to be look in another looking that is differ from this one. Let's say here, simply click the cell, then click right click. After writing the click, let's say come here into the value field. The value field setting I have explained in the first video, but here if you don't understand it from there, here you can understand. It means that here we're going to change the value to be filled in this particular sum tool rows. Click here into the value find. After that, you can change into difference per amount change into difference. But now let's say show value as, do not come here as a summarized value, because this one is shown here is a summarized value. So this second one should not be summarized value, we want it to be show value. After click this show value, say that no calculation, but here you can choose the drop down menu and you can say that I want you to find the percentage of total ground. You say this one, total percentage of this that's to be displayed here. Simply click it. After that, then click OK. After click OK, you see the particular items now change into percentage. So we have the same title here. It's a sum of amount, but here also the sum of amount, but the data should displayed in the two row is, let's say here, columns. You see the difference one. This one is in term of numbers, like shilling this was before, as you say that, and this one is in a percentage. You see the difference. This is a one of the useful of this particular tools, which is multiple value field. You can come across these tools anywhere in your examination or any in your work. You can use this multiple because it is most relevant and most useful, because it is, you can capture many things, like percentage of your product that you sell, which is one is mostly, let's say, by the customer or preferred by your customers. You can trap it in and you know what the percentage of your product is that you are supplying in your market or everywhere or anywhere. So let's, before starting this, the last one, which is multiple report filter, before moving on, please click subscribe button if you don't do that before, and turn notification bell into all so as to become notified for any coming videos. So let's check now for the multiple report filter. Now let's move to from the first sheet, which is a display of all data that we make the pivot table. Simply click here in the pivot table as we click before, then click OK. So now we want you to use more than one filter. Let's say here in the rows to display the order ID. To display order ID, you know that the order ID was these numbers, like here. This was a like a 200 and some things, as you see here in the row labels as ID, and here in the values, let's like the amount here. Let's put amount here as before, but here in the filter, let's edit two things here. The first one need to be added. Let's say we edit what? Let's say we edit the product and the filters, and the second one, let's say edit what? Country. These two things in the filters. So this data here displayed before down here as a rows labels, and the sum of amount as the ID and the amount as you see here. So we can filter this by selecting simple. I can say that I want like country, let's say I want it from only Tanzania, then click OK. This data below will display only the data from the Tanzania and the particular ID. You see, the first one starts with 2. Let's say in Tanzania also we want only product, let's say bananas, to display down here. See how they become shiny. So this one filters tools, which is a multiple report filter, is very useful in the Microsoft Excel, and this will make the one that the users of Microsoft Excel, if you know this, though you can't miss the work like this for Microsoft Excel. Also, let's say change here, I want another product like mango in Tanzania. See how display only one data, so many data. You can capture them by simply click there. Let's say I want now this banana, because I have seen a Tanzania only one. Let's say German banana also one. How it's come like this? Let's say Uganda. Oh, only one for the mangoes for any particular country. Let's say France. Oh, you see all of them. Let's say change into barcode, then click OK. Also, the data that's displayed here as a summarized as the uses of pivot table will only display the particular filter that you select here. So this marks the end of this one. So the coming video will discuss also in the pivot table, and they will display on the frequency table. So don't miss it, because it is very useful also. So if you don't subscribe in this channel, please do that, and turn notification bell into all so as to not miss any coming video. Thank you very much.